We recently had an opportunity to talk with Joe Kilhoffer from the local wind turbine manufacturing company, Our Future AK. Joe is a sales rep for the company, and he also works to build the units at their local factory in Wasilla. We're all familiar with propellers and the planes they propel, but it's this similar yet opposite technology that could propel Alaskans towards our future. Kilhoffer's passion for this future sounds a lot like the winds of change.
I manufacture them myself, I sell them. I'm the dealer for Alaska. We have dealers everywhere. We've sold 1,000 units in a year, 30 of them in Alaska, which is why my focus is to change that. 100% satisfaction. I also manufacture charge controllers, which are what would take the turbine's energy, convert it to your battery, or for DC, like for solar. We do a lot of those. I probably have made 2,000 in a year. I make the SkyStream, which is what's in front of Q99.7. That installation costs $26,000 to $28,000. I can do a similar install for around $2,200, but definitely less than $5,000, even if you had to, if there were stringent restrictions where you were. But if you live out in the bush, or if you have a cabin, a remote cabin, there's no, you can put up a pole for $1,000.
That's crazy cheap.
So I mean, it comes down to we're 50% to a quarter less, depending on who else you're looking at.
Right.
And their products, just a big difference is ours are rated up to 150 miles an hour. We have one in a repeater in Washington State that gets 150 winds often.
Right.
And most wind turbines in the market are good to about 40. And they electronically brake or turn themselves out of the wind. So up here in Alaska, we have a lot of high winds, a lot of gusts. So essentially, you don't get to use any of that energy.
Right.
So.
And it's wasted energy, just energy passive, fruit rotting on the vine.
Yeah, absolutely. The most expensive unit I sell is $900. You have to purchase an inverter, depending on whether you're on or off grid, if it's going to be a cabin use. So it can run you up to $1,800. Looks like I got $1,900 plus pole.
Right.
So that's everything to hook it up, except for the wire that goes up the pole and the pole, and whatever dirt work you would have to do. But that's site specific. I mean, some people can just. Some people have like a power pole in their yard that doesn't have any utilities on it. Right. You just slap a pole on that, ratchet it to the pole, and for $100 you've got a turbine pole now.
As far as this story is concerned, this video, the reason I'm interested in it because I mean the future of Alaska, I think, is energy independence from the United States even. I mean, if we could we talk about energy independence as a nation, but as a state, Alaska could truly have energy independence if we chose to.
Yeah. Wind is a great resource here. We are a resource-rich state, not only in oil and gold and silver and tide and sun in the summer, but wind. I mean, name somewhere that's not windy.
Right.
I mean, we can, the Anchorage Bowl, not so windy, but that's about it. I mean, literally all the larger communities, all the bush communities, because we're almost all coastal-based communities. There's just some interior, but in the interior it's windy. I mean, in Healy, places like that, very, very windy because of all the passes. So it can be used anywhere. Our product is really designed for home, somewhere where it's 8 to 12, 14 miles an hour. That's normal. At our shop, we get 8 all the time.
Right.
And most people, in Palmer, they're seeing 12, 14, 15 averages over a day. Another benefit is, in the air for me, it's all mechanical. We don't have any electronics in the air. It's all on the ground. So if something breaks, you can fix it. If something were to go bad, it's on the ground. If something breaks in a SkyStream or in a Whisper Watt, it's 100 feet in the air or 50 feet in the air. You're going to have to call a professional to come out just to even get to it. If something were to go wrong with it, you can look into where the person is making it. MEA and Chugiak, and I've spent a lot of time with the Regulatory Commission. I've been calling representatives because net metering is something that's passed in Alaska in the last couple months, and it's basically a mandate by the governor that says that if you sell electricity to someone for 10 cents, you have to buy it back for 10 cents if they produce more than they use. A nice loophole that MEA has found itself in is that they don't produce electricity. They only resell it. So they don't have to honor net metering. So now they charge you 17 cents and they pay you 7. There's no way around it. And they own one of the largest service areas in Alaska.
Right.
Anchorage, the same thing. There's the municipal light and power. They don't produce electricity.
Right.
They only resell it, so they don't have to honor it. So, you know, we've made large steps, but, you know, these people are, these companies, this is what they do, you know.
Right.
They have lawyers and staff and millions of dollars that they're making off of all of us to keep us where we're at.
Right.
And it's been very frustrating trying to explain to government and the media, just anyone,
Right.
to really understand how well they've got this on lockdown.
By you manufacturing here in the state, you're saving the user, your customers, tons of money, and you're creating industry in the state. I mean, what Alaskan doesn't like this idea? You know,
the ones that are involved with BP or Halliburton or oil and gas is the largest funder of lobbyists for increasing controls over wind turbine manufacturing. I mean, they call it for safety. You know, they want to keep this industry as safe as oil, which is hilarious. Because if any of us have been paid any attention to the news in the last million years, you know, oil is not safe. The industry is not safe. It's spewing into the ocean, destroying our planet right now as we speak with no end. You know, that's just one thing. There's the Exxon Valdez, the spills on the slopes. I mean, that industry is not safe. So for them to say they're doing it under the guise of safety is very transparent to me, that they're trying to increase the cost to the consumer to where it would be unprofitable.
You've got a whole state here of very right-leaning people who, many of whom could care less about the environmental movement. Not to say they don't care about the planet, they just don't perceive the same reality that they hear coming from the left side of the paradigm. So your company kind of bridges the gap there in a way, because you're providing an economically sensible way for people who care about the planet to do something about it and save money at the same time.
And increase their property values, increase their business value, decrease their energy costs. They're dependent on fossil fuels. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. When I caught up with the governor, I ran into him at the governor's picnic in Anchorage. I didn't even know that's what it was. Went into town for another reason, just ended up at the park strip, heard the music, turned to my left. There was the governor, literally standing next to me, and I said, "Do you have a minute?" He said, "Sure," and I told him what I did for a living. I said, "You know, we're all getting really tired of you talking green and living crude. Look at this hand, smack, smack, smack." I mean, you just, you know, you're beating us to death here, and we all know why. If you do this, we're not going to sell as much oil.
Right.
So stop. He said, "I didn't realize." I explained to him what the laws were and the ordinances and how hard it was to get turbines up, and how net metering. Yeah, sure, you passed it into law, but look at all these loopholes, and you just said I didn't know that. And I believed him. I don't think that he actually did know that. Yeah, but he does now.
Yeah. So what's he going to do?
Not much. He told me to get a hold of local, you know, government to change those things, which is bunk. You know, that's like saying, "Oh, you want net metering? We'll call the power company and convince them to pay you fair."
Yeah, it's just passing the buck.
Which is, I mean, he was very much a politician. But at least I got to have my say. And I got a picture of me with him standing there telling it to his face.
That's pretty cool. Maybe you can email that to me and I'll put it in this video. So real quick, tell me, are there some examples that people can drive by and see of the wind turbines you're building here locally in the valley?
Our shop is on Fairview Loop.
Okay.
Snowshoe Elementary. There's a road right next to it called Clydesdale.
Okay.
And you will see the wind turbine from
Fairview Loop.
From Fairview Loop. You can see it.
Well, thanks a lot for talking to us, Joe. We'll get with you soon, and hopefully this will develop into an awesome venture for you.
Yes, I hope so.